Hey folks, this is Dan, Watchman of the King. Um, this is going to be a different style video, and here's why. And I don't even know how to begin. Um, ever have a day where you're waking up and you have all the best intentions, you think you can get started on stuff, you start your day with God, and then things continually just seem to go downhill from the morning, from where you started off with all the best intentions. You thought you were going to you know what it's like. You think you're going to tackle the world. Okay. I'm not going off of any notes today. I'm just going to talk for a minute. So then you start the process of putting something together, and you think, okay, I'm going to be able to do something here today. I've got an idea for what God wants me to do, and then it just doesn't seem like God's in it. You start to let things slide a little bit. You get into your normal routine, and you start letting the enemy pick at you. Sin creeps in, whether it's thought or deed. It's there, you know. For me, for example, I'll start looking at the news, and I've got 25 or 30 news sites. I'll start scrolling through just to get an idea of where things are going, and then it starts to bring me down. And I know I'm supposed to have joy. I know I'm supposed to be excited. I know that I'm supposed to see that this is proof that we are on the verge of Christ's return. And he says, look up, lift your heads up, your redemption draws near. So what do you do on the days where things just get slower and slower for you, you know? So, and I don't want to have a lot of pause space in my videos while I sit and ponder my thoughts. I really should keep things rolling. Nobody wants dead space. And so I'm just getting started on this channel. There's all kinds of stuff that I know I should discuss. I know I should talk about the scripture. I know I should talk about the news. But then there are days that, like today, where I'm almost forcing myself to do this right now. I'm just kicking off this channel. There's very few subscribers. You guys know who you are. Most are my family. So then I get suggestions from my daughter or other folks that I have discussions with on the whole reason why I've decided to start this. And so really I need to get into some of that. So I'm having a conversation last night about the speed and rate at which things are going. And I had to back the conversation up and say, let's not talk about the speed in which things are going today. That's easy. Let's talk about the speed in which things have happened since they kicked off. Okay? Now, I'm only going to go back to the around the 1940s time frame. You know, we could go back to World War One. You know, because there was a lot of things that affected Israel at that time, as the Balfour Declaration and the direction that things started to move to get the Jews a homeland again. Okay. It culminated in 1948. But let's think about this for a second. Okay? Let's think about how we have 6,000 years of human history. Okay? I don't believe in evolution. I believe in the Bible and what God says. I believe that the world was created 6,000 years ago. So I believe we have 6,000 years of humanity. Okay? Even in that 6,000 years of humanity, look at the technology that has occurred just since flight was invented, or gunpowder became available. So let's look at some of the technologies that have pushed us forward at such a rapid pace in just 200 to 300 years. Like we were discussing weapons, we went from swords and catapults to, you know, guns and cannons just a few hundred years ago. Since then, we now can annihilate the entire world. You know, we can take out much of humanity with a few bombs because of nuclear technology. I mean, is this making sense? So the speed, that's just weaponry. So look at warfare. Warfare is one, okay? Let's look at travel. Travel's another one. You know, we go from horse and buggy, or chariot, whatever you want to call it. Horses, wagons, that mode of transportation, the amount of time it takes to get from one location to another is measured in days, not hours. Okay? And sometimes months to get across most of the United States. Okay? So then you have automobiles. You know, the combustion engine is created, and you've got flight gets created. That also affects warfare, of course. We've got the rail system gets created. So all of these things are within the past few hundred years of a 6,000 year human history period. That should be a signal to most people that we're getting there. Then we get into the exponential rate at which things progress. So we'll jump into technology for a second. That's kind of my sweet spot. I went from being a chef to being in IT. I'd say 22 years ago or so. And it's also right around the same time that I really started diving into biblical eschatology and the study of end times, the study of prophecy. And even in my tenure in technology, in my time, I have watched things occur at such a speed that it blows the mind. You know, I was explaining to my daughter last night about this technological stuff, and it has to do with the fact that, My generation is the last generation that straddles non-technology versus technology. And what I meant by that was we were the first generation to, start implementing these things and having to learn all about them. Okay? So the running joke is, grandma doesn't know how to, or grandpa doesn't know how to maybe run his computer or program his phone. Whereas most of my generation, we were in our 20s when this occurred, when all these things started really popping. And so we learned these things quickly. Now, I'm not talking about video games when I was a kid, because that, Nintendo was created and all that kind of stuff. So that started and pushed forward some technology things. And then, of course, we know Windows 95, Windows NT, Windows 3.1. I'm going backwards, of course, but these things brought computers into the homes. Okay. Now, in my other Super Science video, my Super Science overview, I discussed technology slightly, and I discussed the shrinking of the world. So I'm expanding on that here, and this is really what I see is the preparation of the things that absolutely have to be in place for the tribulation. Okay, so we know within the tribulation that all eyes will see and watch the two witnesses that are killed rise again. Okay, now not all of you know that. Some of you may need to get caught up on your scriptural reading. But what will happen is God's going to send two witnesses. I believe they're going to be Moses and Elijah, and they will preach in the old city of Jerusalem, near the Temple Mount, and they'll do that for the first 3.5 years until the Antichrist is able to kill them. Now, all eyes in the world are able to watch that. We didn't have that until satellite TV. And the reason why I say that is we now can have live streaming to all areas of the globe. And we know that, for example, SpaceX has got contracts to blanket the entire world in satellite internet, so that every person, even while moving, can have internet access no matter where they are on the globe. Okay. So that's coming pretty quick. That's a requirement for all eyes to be able to see that particular event. The mark of the beast. There's a lot of trepidation about that, and people have talked about it, and songs have been wrote about it, and I grew up around heavy metal, pointing heavily at Revelation. Okay, so let's take a look at this for a second. The mark of the beast is a system that requires everybody's allegiance to a single person in order to buy or sell anything. That means all currencies on the planet have to crumble. They basically have to be destroyed. So now we've got, and we're seeing that today. We're seeing it right in front of our eyes. We have the technology prepared to replace it with digital currency. Now they want to put central bank digital currency in place. They want it to be programmable so that you can, if you're standing within the government or you're standing within society, is okay. you can then purchase X amount of this or X amount of that. But let's say you're not. Let's say they deem that you aren't towing the line, and you've refused to take the latest health mandate. Well, they can shut you off. They can say you can't buy X, Y, or Z. Okay. That technology is rapidly being implemented. I think things like Bitcoin and Dogecoin and those kind of things, those accelerated the understanding of how digital technologies and digital currencies need to work. And that was a trial run to work out the kinks, maybe. But really, it's in preparation. So we'll circle back here for a second. Look at how fast. So in 6,000 years of human history, just these few things I brought up are only within the last 50 to 100 to 200 years. Why now? Why didn't this stuff start happening? I mean, are we way smarter than they were 600 years ago? Excuse me. Is that the case? I don't think so. You look at some of the books that have been written. I think we're actually getting dumber. And here's why. I think we're relying heavily on the technology that's being put into our pockets. I think television, think about that for a second, television, and what do you look up? You look up the programming. I think that was created to make us all dumber. I mean, sure. Let's say you go, "Oh, I don't watch any stupid stuff. I watch documentaries and History Channel and Discovery." And who's programming those shows? It's something you got to think about. You're drinking in this stuff. You're just taking it at face value, thinking that they're giving you truth. But what happens if the people behind the people are deciding that a certain narrative needs to be given, needs to be shown, needs to be taught? So we're making things easier and we're making things harder. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's kind of where we're headed. Again, look at the speed in which things are happening. And why is it all now? Why now? At some point in time, I'll do a video where I discuss the 6 days of creation and the seventh day rest, and how that's a prophetic thing. The synopsis is really, we have 6,000 years of human history, and a seventh day or 1,000 year millennium of rest, where Jesus is going to be on the throne, and he's going to be the one running the show. So, and you could draw it all out. We can go over the genealogies and all that shows exactly how long things have played out. But in reality, it really comes down to the rate at which things are going. We will, at some point in time, there's an expiration date, kind of like stale milk. There will be an expiration date on this stuff. We will surpass the technologies in the Bible, which I don't believe that's going to happen. I think we will see right up to the technology that should be put in place before God sends his son back and kicks off the end, because he says otherwise no flesh will be saved. And so we really need to see that the rate, the speed at which things are moving is also a major sign. I don't know that I have much more to say about that. So, as I've introed in my previous videos, this channel is going to be primarily focused on end times discussions, end times news, a pre-tribulation, pre-millennial view of the rapture, and sorry, I got distracted by my phone back here. So, note to self, get things out from behind you that could light up. All right. So I have a pre-tribulational view of the rapture. I believe that the text supports that more than it does any other view. I think you have to intellectualize. I think you have to play like you're smarter and God showed you more in the text, or maybe you've understood the Greek better, or no, I think it's plain and simple. I think there's a pre-tribulation rapture. I think Jesus is coming extremely soon. We know that we cannot know the day or the hour, but he does say multiple times, one, watch. That's why this channel is called Watchman of the King. I'm waiting for Jesus to return. I'm watching for him. I'm not watching for the Antichrist. I'm not watching for the world system. These are things that I see. These are things that show me. But again, what is it we're looking for then in those? If we see the shadow of the tribulation on the ground in front of us, okay, and we're coming up to the corner of the building, that means we know that right around that corner is the tribulation. So we're seeing the signs presenting themselves today that the tribulation is going to have to deal with. I mean, look at what's going on with the food shortages that are starting to pop up everywhere. Look at what's going on with the wars, rumors of wars. Look at what's going on with plagues and pestilences. We got a real understanding over the past 2.5 years now of what that may actually look like in the end times and through tribulation. We understand now how they might demand and require people to take a very specific thing in order to be part of the economy. So we're seeing all of that stuff and all the groundwork being laid rapidly. We've watched just this year 3 major meetings of world leaders with the World Economic Forum, with the World Global Leaders Government Summit, with the Bilderbergs, and I forgot the 4th, the G7. So that we have a lot, and then we got turmoil in various countries where leadership is in question. Israel is without a leader right now. I mean, they've got an interim prime minister, but their government has collapsed. We've got the British prime minister, shortly after saying that he suggests that there should be a new Roman Empire based on the states around the Mediterranean, okay, North African states all the way up around through Turkey, and all those states becoming another Roman Empire. And then other leaders like Emmanuel Macron saying they agree with that. you've got those in place, but then all of a sudden Boris steps down. And now they have to find another leader in the UK. I don't even want to talk about our the United States leadership. I don't want to get censored. Not yet. I'll be more bold later. I'll try to figure out the ways I want to say things. But for now, I'm just gonna, it's very obvious to anybody living in the US or paying attention to the US, see how we are crumbling quickly. Which again, I covered in my Super Science video about America can't be a superpower. We can't be an influence on the world stage, and we can't be Israel's friend in order for the rest of the end times to kick off. So, with all that stuff, and I really got to learn to not say so much. Another thing, my daughter pointed out to me. And there may be at times where I'm going to get more excited about things. This one, there we go. This one again, though, is specifically pay attention to the speed at which things have happened, even just since Israel became a nation. Even since the world has become smaller. We're able to now I can send money within minutes from here to my wife's country in the Philippines. We can have a conversation within minutes of that on whether or not they received it. And 20 years ago, I had to set up a Western Union, 25 years ago. I had to set up Western Union, go down to a place, get it all set up, fill out the paperwork, and just to get her some money to prepare for more paperwork to come on over here. So, within the last 20 years even, it's been crazy. So really taking a look at the rate and speed, because that, when he says I'm coming quickly or I'm coming soon, the word in the Greek is tacos, not Taco Bell, okay? It's tacos. And it is the same word we get our word for tachometer. If you know anything about cars, heck, if you've even driven a car, if you've looked at a car from behind the driver's wheel, you'll see that there's a revolutions per minute. And when you press the gas, the tachometer the needle quickly moves on that, much faster than your speedometer. So the tachometer lets you know how fast things are revving in the engine. That's the word that's used for quickly or soon. So he's not saying I'm coming soon to the first century church when he said, or to John, I'm coming soon or I'm coming quickly that way. Jesus said, when I'm coming, these things are going to happen at a very fast pace. So in my next video, at some point in time, I do need to start getting into news articles and start dealing with them, because they come at, 25 years ago when I first got into this, it was look for something once every few weeks or every few months even, and they get excited. Now you can barely keep up, where every few hours something is occurring in the world that has to do with the rate at which things are moving today. So that's where I'll leave things with this video. Yeah, I started off and I didn't even know where I was going to go with it. I was feeling down. I actually I said to myself, okay, I need to just turn on my lights, put on the camera, and see where this goes. So that's where we are today. Let's not forget, if you don't have Jesus, you need him. He's coming back, regardless on if you believe or not. God is real. His Son was here. His Son's on the throne now, and he will return. Okay? He's going to come back in 2 phases. First, the rapture of his bride. And then the second phase will be when he lands on this planet again, touches foot down on the Mount of Olives, and there's a great earthquake, and he takes care of all the governments of the world and sets up the kingdom where he's going to rule from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. That's called the millennium that I keep referring to. So if you're not saved, I'm going to link my salvation video down below. It's a short 16-17 minute video, I believe. It explains why you need Jesus. And again, I'll do what all the other YouTubers do. I'll say, hey, if you like this video, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. If you don't like it, hey, that's fine too. Anyway, everybody have a great day. I really hope that you all know Jesus before he returns.